Hi, this is Ali Arango of LittleGuyCGI.com, and today I want to show you how to model a anime human female head as well as make some anime hair. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Also, while you're in user preferences, I recommend you go to add-ons. Uh, Make sure you have a check mark next to 3D navigation, and this will allow you to have a navigation tab to the left side of your screen, which will make it easier for you to navigate around. And you want to make sure that you have check marks next to these settings here, or these add-ons here, which is Mesh F2, Mesh Inset Polygon, Mesh Loop Tools, Mesh Relax. And also all the way at the bottom, you might want to have a check mark right here where it says User Interface Pi Menus Official. Okay, when you first come into Blender, you are in object mode. In object, you can move entire objects around like this cube that you see here. Most of our work is going to be done in edit mode. To get to edit mode, you just go here, click here, and you can select edit mode. Okay, in edit mode, you can manipulate your object by vertices, edges, or faces, all of which you can select right here. And this, by manipulating the vertices, edges, and faces, is typically how your model comes about. Okay, to manipulate your view in Blender, you can hold your middle mouse button, which will allow you to maneuver your view like this. I like to direct people to the navigation tab. And with the navigation tab, I can select front, back, left, right, top, bottom, back to front. You can just very easily manipulate the view. Now you will not see that navigation view unless under File, User Preferences, Add-ons, and then when you see it says 3D View, 3D Navigation, unless you have a check mark here, you won't see that navigation tab. Okay, and as you manipulate your view in Blender, if you're ever lost or not sure which direction your view is facing, you can always look up here. So this is front perspective view we're in now. I can also get in and out of perspective and orthographic view by selecting this. Orthographic view is kind of like a straight on, almost like a blueprint view that's very useful for modeling. So yeah, just by clicking here, you can get into front orthographic. You can see you're in orthographic mode right here, or I can click back and go back into perspective mode. Okay, currently I want to be in front orthographic mode, so I'm going to select right here. For this tutorial, we're going to be using a sketch that I did, and to bring that in, you're going to press the N key. You're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Look for where it says background images. You're going to put a check mark right here. Then select this triangle right here. Okay, then you're going to select add image. You're going to scroll down a little bit more. Look for where it says open. You're going to select here. You're going to go to where your image is located at. And when you get to where your images are at, if you want to see what they look like, you can click this button right here and it'll show you this is the one we want. So you're going to left click there and then select open image. Okay, and I'll put a link up right here so you can get to this image. Now that we have the image in, what we want to do is we want to line this front image up with this center line right here. So to do that, we're going to scroll down more. I'm going to hover my mouse here and pull to the side. See where it says X and Y? This allows you to move your image around. So by selecting, or hovering my mouse right here, I should say, and left clicking and then dragging to the side, I can line this right up. Let me press Z to go to wireframe so we can see. So for the most part, it's you know, lined up right on the center line like we want it to be. Okay, currently if we select right view, this image will still, show up in the same way, and we really don't want that. So when I select front to go back to front view, and if we scroll up here, see where it says all views, and you can see, here's our drawing right here, but all views, we don't want that. We want to click here and then select front. So now when I select right from here, the image isn't there. The image will only show up when we select front. Okay, the reason why we have this side view here is so we can use that side view. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to add image, and you're going to scroll your mouse down, and now be careful, just see where it says anime head. This is the one image all right here, so you can kind of look for this divide to see the separation between your two images. So this is the first image right here, and this is the front image. Right here is the second image. So again, we see it says all views, and we can click here and select right view, even though we haven't brought the image in yet. And because we're actually using the same image, what we're going to do is click here. Blender knows that we used this image before, so when we select it, now this view is brought in for use from the right view. Okay, when you look here, you can see that we're in front orthographic, so we're going to select right, and now we're in right orthographic. So here's our image, and what we want to do is now line this side view up, and generally we're using this line as a guide. You want to be careful that this line, like as far as right here and right here, is the same as your front image. So because we haven't manipulated this the y-axis, we should be fine as far as the view. Suppose you're not using this drawing and you're using another drawing, I would recommend that when you bring your front image in, you would take this bottom part and put it right here, and take this side part and put it right here on that line, just to make sure that that the size and height are right. And that would also be important if you were using two different images. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to right. We're going to select here and just move this so this is pretty much in the center of the right drawing of this character's head. Okay, so now when we select front, our cube is right there ready to be modeled for the front, and then we select right, and we're also set up to see our cube from the right. Because it's a cube right now, it's a little bit difficult to see because it almost looks the same, but this is actually the right side and this is actually the front side. So once we start to model, you'll be able to see a little bit better the differences between the front view and the right view. Okay, and as we go through this tutorial, if you hold your middle mouse button and turn, which takes you out of orthographic view, it is normal for your background image to temporarily disappear. As soon as you go back to a orthographic mode, like we'll select front right here, you'll see the image will come right back. Okay, we're going to press the N key to take away that properties menu right there. We're then going to press W to bring up our specials menu, and then we're going to go to subdivide smooth. You're going to left click here. You're going to immediately look over to this panel here, which has your subdivide options. You're going to look for number of cuts, and you're going to take this up to 3. As we work our way through this model, we'll be using this reference image more later on, but for now, don't let it concern you if currently your cube isn't matching up too much with the reference image in the background. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press Z, and then we're going to choose solid. You're going to make sure you're on vertices select. Zoom in so you can see better. You want to grab these 3 vertices right here. So while grabbing them, you're going to select here, hold shift. Shift allows you to select more than one vertice, edge, or face. And then once you have those 3 vertices selected, you're going to select right. Now what you're going to do is press the O key. What the O key does is it turns on what's called the proportional editing tool. The proportional editing tool allows you to move and manipulate more than one vertice, edge, or face at a time. So it's very useful for the initial shaping of this head. So what we're going to do with the proportional editing tool turned on, now we're going to press G. When you press G, G allows you to see that circle that just popped up on your screen. That circle is your area of influence for your, for the vertices, edges, or faces that you're about to manipulate. So if I roll the mouse back, the circle gets bigger, which is the area of influence. If I roll it in, it gets smaller. So what we're going to do now is pull down. See how it's sharp, the chin? You don't want that, so you're just going to roll your mouse wheel. See, as I roll the mouse, how you can see, like, even by keeping the mouse in the same position, just by increasing this area of influence, I'm able to change the shape of this head. So you want it about like that. You're going to left click to lock in. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. Then we're going to hold the middle mouse button just to look towards the back of the head. We're going to go to face select. Then we're going to press C for paint select. Paint select allows us to basically paint our selection. So with face select on, we just paint these 8 faces right here. We're now going to click here to go back to right view, and we're going to press G and then Y just to move the head back just slightly. And we're going to left click to lock in. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're going to press O to turn off our proportional editing tool. Still with face select on, we're going to hold the middle mouse button just to look here. We're going to press C for paint select again and select these faces here again. We're going to right click together, paint select right here to go back to right view. Then we're going to press E to extrude on the Z axis, and if it's, see how it's not restrained to the Z axis now, just press Z again and it will, restrain me to that Z axis. I'm going to left click to lock in. Okay, we're about to scale these faces right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. I'm going to roll the mouse to zoom out some. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to press S to scale and then Shift Z. Now what's different about that than normal scaling is normally you press S to scale, and you can either, you press S, you scale in all directions. By pressing S and then Shift Z will scale on every axis except for Z. So with this selected, we're going to press S and then hold Shift and then press Z, right? See those arrows popped out? So now when I pull, it'll scale on every direction except for Z. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to press the N key to bring up our properties menu. I'm going to look for display, which is right here. Then I'm just going to check this check mark next to grid floor. Not for, you don't need to do that. It was distracting me slightly. I'm going to press N to take this away. Now what we're going to do is press front here. And what we're about to do now is very cool. It's very important if you're new to Blender. One of the things, as you model, it takes a decent amount of time to do a general model. One of the things that as you model in 3D that makes it easier is to only have to model one side of your model and have the other side just mirror what you're doing on this side. And that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to press A to deselect, and we're going to press Z, and we're going to select wireframe. We're going to make sure we're on face select. I'm not going to hold my mouse right around here or move it around here. Then we're going to press B for box select, left click and hold, and we're going to select all of this side of the face right here. Okay, now before we do this, it's very important that, see this little orange dot? It's very important that this little orange dot is directly in the center, and that is your origin point. The reason why this is important is because for this side to be mirrored, right to this side, we need to have it, mirroring off of this origin point, but being right in the center. So with that said, let's continue. So with this selected, we're going to press X to bring up our delete menu. Then we're going to choose faces. You can see there's our origin point directly in the center. We're now going to go to right here. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to what looks like a wrench. This is your modifier menu. I'm going to select here. I'm going to click here to add a modifier, and then I'm going to go right here to where it says mirror. And now what you can see is this side is being mirrored to this side. Okay, what I'm going to do now is press Z to go to solid mode. You see how this side looks different from this side? This is our actual side, and this is kind of, if you will, our virtual side. And I like to have this side looking like this side. So the way you can do that is you can go to this triangular looking shape button right here, and now you can see our mirrored side looks just like this side. You also want to put a check mark in here for clipping, and what this does is this keeps your actual side from pulling away from your mirror side or mirrored side. Okay, and remember, right now we're not too worried about the reference. Right now we're getting a general shape, and then we'll match it up to the reference. So with the mirror on there now, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go to vertice select, push this down just slightly here. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hover my mouse here. I'm going to press Control R to bring up a loop tool. To bring up a loop cut. Then I'm going to roll my mouse once to get 2 loop cuts. I'm going to left click. When you left click the first time, your loop cut is movable. Alright, so I clicked 1 time so it's movable. So I'm going to move it down slightly. I'm going to left click again, and now it's locked in, if you will. So now I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis. Push this in a little bit here. Actually push this in a lot there. Then I hold the middle mouse button to look to the back. I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. We're going to make sure we're still on vertice select, which we are. We're going to select here. We're going to hold shift and select here. Hold the middle mouse button to turn so we can see the back of the head. Select here, select here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to turn again. Then I'm just going to push down a little bit right here. I'm going to push this one vertice here down a little bit as well. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to look right here. So I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. Let me zoom in a little bit more. There we go. So I'm going to select here, hold shift and select here. I'm just going to, see, I had this selected here. I'm going to press Control Z. I'm going to hold shift, and when you have a vertice selected and you're holding shift, then you deselect it. So anyway, I'm going to hold shift and select here. I'm just going to pull this down some like that, and I think I'll push forward a little bit like that. Okay, so I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to turn back towards the front. Okay, now what we're going to do is start working on getting the basic loop cuts and faces where they need to be, so that we can have everything for the most part set up to go when we go and start matching this up with the reference. So I'm going to select this vertice right here. I'm going to push this down. What I'm trying to do here is, here's this line right here. See this line right here? I want it to be how it is. Like, see how it's kind of curved down? So that's why I pushed that vertice there down. This is going to be basically the mouth area. We need another loop cut right here. So what we're going to do is press Control R to put a loop cut in. I left click 1 time, it's still movable. So now I'm just going to pull this down some to about here. Then I'm going to left click again to totally lock it in. If by some chance you are having issues with the loop cut, like the Control R doesn't work for you, you can go to, I believe it's Tools. See this right here where it says loop cut and slide? So if you select here and just move your mouse over here, it's essentially the same thing as you pressing Control R to get the loop cut. Anyway, I'm going to go back to our navigation tab. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side a little bit. I'm going to push this down a little bit, push this in a little bit. I don't want this line being too close to that line. So what I'm doing is I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, hold the middle mouse button and turn towards the front. I'm going to push this down, not too much. I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis to bring it in. Now I'm just going to take this, push this down, and again I want this to have just that these edges to be kind of curved down. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. See how these loops are kind of bunched up next to each other? We don't want that, so we're going to select this vertice here. Remember, we're still on vertice select. We're going to hold shift, and select all of these vertices here. Then we're just going to take our manipulator and push down. I'm going to select here, holding shift, hold the middle mouse button to turn, just pushing this down, hold the middle mouse button to turn back. Then with vertices select still one, I'm just going to grab this and push this down. And you kind of want this, like the shape I see in my mind is kind of like somebody wearing sunglasses. You know, it's kind of what I'm looking at. You know, when I form this area here, this is going to be the eye area. I can see this jutting out pretty far, so I'm just pushing that in. And the reason why I'm pushing this, and see how you can see it kind of like jutting out. You can see, like, even without the reference, like it's out too much. Okay, what we're going to do now is select front, and we're in front orthographic view, so we can see our drawing in the background. We're going to press Z, then go to wireframe view. Okay, now I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press A to deselect, and I press A twice. One time I had a vertex selected, so I deselected. Then when I press A the second time, it selected everything. So now I'm going to press S to scale. Now see when I scale how this looks like it's getting wider. The reason why it looks like it's getting wider is because we have this clipping on, and this mirror side is, you know, partially pulling apart from, or trying to pull apart from this side, but this clipping right here is keeping it together. It's no big deal. We're just gonna take the manipulator, move this whole thing up, then we'll actually push in a little bit here. We'll press S to scale in the Z axis, and we're just getting a general, you know, lining this up. You see how when I pull to the side, I actually make things wider. And again, that's because of the mirror modifier, which is why we have that. So we have it, you know, in the general, you know, around the general size now that we need it to be. So now we're going to select right and take a look from this side. So we'll push this forward some, and don't be concerned about this you know, changing your view from the front view, because this is going front and back. It really won't have too much of an effect on that view. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to press S to scale in the Y axis and just scale this somewhat like this. Let me zoom in so you can get a better look. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, and see this line right here. Pretty much what we want is we want this to be, this line, the front of this, to be kind of like right lined up with where the nose is coming from the face. So we can actually pull this back just a little. And the head goes back a lot more than we have it here. So what we will do is press Z, go to solid mode, hold the middle mouse button, turn to the back, press A to deselect, go to face select, press C for paint select these 8 faces here. We'll select right again. This right here shows that the proportional editing tool is on or not. Currently it's off. We're gonna hover our mouse here. It's important that you're aware of where your mouse is at when you press shortcuts, because in Blender, if my mouse is here, here, or here, depending on where your mouse is at, the shortcut keys change. You want to make sure your mouse is over here. This right here, as soon as I push O, a proportional editing tool turns on. You can see it's turned on right there. Now we're going to press G. The reason why we're pushing G, one of the main reasons is see that area of influence. Now we're going to press Y and then just pull this back like so. We're going to press A to deselect then. Okay, what we're going to do now is zoom in, hold the middle mouse button, look under here. I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to select here. Now I'm going to select vertices select, just because I would rather have the vertices selected than the edge, even though the edge and vertices are kind of almost the same thing. Anyway, I'm going to press right, and what I'm going to do is press G so I can see my area of influence. I'm going to roll this down, roll my mouse wheel to shrink that area of influence. Now I'm just going to pull this forward some. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel in. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Alt, select edge, hold Alt, and select here. Because I held Alt, I select this entire edge loop right here. And now I'm going to press S to scale in the Y axis. I'm going to left click to lock in. See what I'm doing? I'm going to press right to go back. I'm just trying to get this closer to that. I'm going to press O When I press this, you'll see that blue go away to turn off the proportional editing tool. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm just turning just so I can get a view to grab this. Now I'm going to select right just to go right back. So now I'm just going to push this forward, and now you can see, it's a lot closer now to our, as far as the neck reference. I'm going to press Z, go to wireframe now. Now we have this back parts. I'm going to press Z here, select solid, just because it's easier to select things in solid view. I'm holding the middle mouse button and turn to the side. I'm going to press right to go right back. I'm going to press Z and then select wire. Now I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool. You can see it's turned on right there. And I press G and then Y. Push this in. I'm going to roll my area of influence to affect that bottom piece there. I'm going to press Z to go back to solid view. Hold the middle mouse button to turn. Select here. Hold shift. Whoops. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to select here. Hold shift. Select here. Select right. Press Z to go back to wireframe. I'm going to press G to shrink my area of influence. Left click to lock in. And you see what we're doing. I'm just getting this closer basically. When I go to solid view, it's just easier to grab. That's why. You can stay in, easier for me. It might be easier for you to, stay in wire, but it doesn't take that much time or energy to, switch back and forth. So I tend to go to solid, just to make it easier to grab things. And obviously I come back to seems obvious to me anyway. I come back to here so I can see through the model to the draw-in reference image, behind the model. Okay, what we're going to do now is select front to go back to front view. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to press A to deselect, Z to go into solid view. Now with face select on, I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, and here. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. I'm going to press Z to go back to wireframe. I'm going to press, I'm going to actually press O to turn back on the proportional editing tool. I'm going to press G to C, roll it up just slightly, and I'm going to press Z to lift this up a little. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. I'm going to press S to scale down some. I press Z to go to solid just to take a look at what's going on. I press Z to go back to wireframe mode. I press Z to come back to solid view mode. You guys are probably like, why is he doing that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to press E to extrude, then left click to lock in. Now it doesn't look like I did anything when I pressed that E to extrude that I just mentioned. Basically what happened was I created new geometry right here. Because I have that new geometry, now I'm able to scale down that new geometry. So with this selected and with my new geometry sitting right on top of the old geometry, I'm going to press Z, go to wireframe, I'm going to press S to scale. And see, I'm looking at these eyes. I want this to be like right where the eyes are at. So what I'm going to do is press O to turn on proportional editing, then G to see it. And I'm just moving this. So imagine like you're putting on sunglasses over this character, if you will. I'm going to roll press Z again so I'm locked in. I'm rolling the area of influence so it's not, too much. I'm going to press left click to lock in. Now see how her eyes are a little bit further in this. So what I'm actually going to do now, I believe I'm going to press S to scale and then roll down the proportional editing tool. That's one thing you can do with the proportional editing tool. Hopefully you can see that it's very useful, but sometimes it can get in the way. Rather than pressing O or clicking here and choosing disable to turn it off, sometimes you can just shrink it down to the point where it's there but it's not affecting that much, and that's what I'll do sometimes. Okay, so what we're going to do now is press Z. We're going to press Z and go to solid view. This area here is going to be where our nose comes from. It's going to come down into here somewhat. So what we want to do is we're going to go here. We're going to, or select edge, I should say. We're going to press O to turn off our proportional editing tool. We're going to select this edge right here. Because we know that this is going to be where the nose is at, what we want to do is push this in a lot. Because this is the width of our nose basically. So with that pushed in, you can see how like these vertices, like how it affected them. So what we want to do is go to vertices, select, grab here, push these in some, you know, just adjust it, adjust your vertices so that they're not, you know, too, as you polygon, if you're new to as you polygon model or model, I guess I should say, you don't tend to want extremes unless you're trying to go for an extreme as far as your vertices. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing in these whoops, Control Z. I just grab this instead of that. So if that happens, keep that from that, and you can press Shift, hold the middle mouse button. I'm just gonna make sure I have this one. But see how what I'm doing, like this is lined up. See how this one isn't lined up? So I'm just pushing this in to make it more, you know, this kind of like flow down, if you will. The reason why I'm leaving this here is because your brow, you know, it can come out to the side like that. So just to let you, you know why I'm kind of doing what I'm doing. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put some more detail right here around this mouth area, and this will also help to set us up more for the nose. So we're going to go to face select. We're going to select here, hold shift, select here, here, and here. And then what we're going to do is press E to extrude, left click to lock in. You can also use inset. I'm used to using E for extrude. Inset will kind of do the same thing. The way you would do inset is you would press I. But for here I pressed E, and just like before with this part, when I pressed E and then I left click to lock in, I created new geometry on top of here, even though it didn't look like I did anything. Because I have that new geometry, and that new geometry is just basically, you know, 8 new planes sitting on top of the old one, which is why it didn't look like, you know, maybe anything new came up. Anyway, with those selected, I'm going to press S to scale, and I'm basically, you know, going towards, this is basically going to be the main framework for the mouth. So I'm going to press Z, go to wireframe. We can see right there that the mouth is down lower, so we'll just push Z here. And not push Z, push the manipulator there. We moved on the Z axis by pushing the manipulator. It's amazing the stuff that your mouth and brain will do when you're making tutorials. It's funny because you can, there's pressure from the camera even though I'm like sitting in front of my computer. Anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm just taking these faces and I'm pushing them down to they're about the size of the mouth. So I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis here. I'm going to press S to scale in the Z axis here. Push these down a little bit more. Press S to scale on the X axis. That looks about right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to press Z to go back to solid view. We're going to go here to right select. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. See how the mouth is back from the lips? So what we want to do is, for now, we're just going to push this up to about where the lips are at. And while we're here, we're going to select here, that vertex. We'll just push this down, pull this forward a little bit, select right here, push this down a little bit. Now we'll select right to go back to front view. Okay, I'm just taking a look right there. It's coming along, so we're going to select right. What we're going to do now is we need this to be a little bit more curved, so we're going to go to vertices select, and we're just going to pull this back a little bit like this. Pull this down a little bit. See how that kind of like went in? That's why you gotta, when you're modeling, you gotta look, you know, front to side, front to side. Typically, you know, sometimes look underneath, because what you see on the screen isn't always what's actually there. I'm just manipulating these vertices right here a little bit. Okay, so now that we have this, what we're going to do is we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to press Control R to put a loop cut in, Then I'm going to roll the mouse wheel once, and then left click to lock in. Left click again to totally lock in. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. And a little bit here. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. We're then going to press front to go in the front view, or front orthographic view. We're going to press Z, select wireframe. We need our nose to come from right here, so we're going to press Z, go back to solid view. We want to go to face select these faces right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to turn. I'm going to press E to extrude, just bring this out about like that. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is press S to scale this in some. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to turn it. Push this in a little bit more like that. I'm going to select front, and then I'm going to press Z, then wireframe. I'm going to we'll go back to right view and see where the nose is here. We need to have the nose, come up to about here. Okay, so now I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool, then G. I'm just pulling right to about the edge right there. I'm now going to go to edge select. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to press G. Just pull this forward to about here. I'm going to select right here, press G. Just move this up to about there. I'll select here, press G, move this up some. Left click to lock in. Okay, so what we're going to do now is let's press front. We're going to press Z and then select solid. Hold the middle mouse button just to take a look, and it's coming along. Let's work some more in this mouth. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to turn. Zoom the mouse wheel in a little bit more. I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. I'm going to select here. I'm going to hold shift, select here, here, and here. I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu. We're going to choose faces to delete those faces. We're now going to go to the edge select. We're going to hold Alt because we're holding Alt. When I select here, it'll select the entire loop. So I'm holding Alt, selecting the loop, and you can see the whole thing is selected there. Okay, now that we have that edge selected, what we're going to do is press E, then left click to lock in. We just created new geometry by selecting that edge, and because we have that new geometry, we can press S to scale. So we're going to scale this down to about like that. Then I'm going to left click to lock it in. Okay, so now what we want to do is go to vertices select. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to grab these 3 vertices right here. I'm holding shift to the middle mouse button to pan. So I have that vertice selected. I'm holding shift and I'm selecting here. Now I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom back, and you're just going to pull this out to the side like this. Let's grab this vertice right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side, and we'll just pull this back some like that. We're going to zoom in. We're going to grab these 3 vertices again. Could use paint select. Probably make it a little bit easier to grab. Anyway, what we're going to do now is pull these vertices back about like that. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to go to face select. We're going to select right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. We're going to pull this back. Let me grab this also. Pull this whole thing back just a little. Now we're going to go to right view. We're going to press Z, go to wireframe, and we're going to go to vertices select. We're actually going to press O to turn on our proportional editing, press G, roll the mouse wheel in to bring it down some. We're just going to pull this back, and I'm rolling the mouse wheel to help control the vertices right there. So now I'm just going to select this vertex right here, press G. Whoops. See this right here? I want to grab here, but not there, right? See how we have this, blue circle for the proportional editing tool? There's actually another mode to the proportional editing tool called connected. So if I can either press Alt O. See how it looks like it's a circle now. That shows that we're in connected proportional editing. If I click here, you can see there's connected also. Now when I press G and I want to move, see how it's only moving, it'll only move the vertices connected to the proportional editing, which is cool. Pressing G now, I'm shrinking the area of influence. Select here, press. Let me grab both of these. Zoom in, holding Shift, zoom back. I'm just trying to get it to match up, a little bit more with the reference image. I'm going to press G here. Since we're up here, actually, holding Shift and middle mouse button, just rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. And I am just pushing and pulling vertices yet again. Okay, so now we're going to grab here, hold Shift and select here, press G, and we'll pull this back some here like that. Let's select front, let's see what's going on from the front here. I'm going to press Z for solid view. I'm going to select here. I'm going to press G to move this up some. Now select this one, press G to move this up some. Select here, and this is going to, these pulling the vertices of the mouth on this character is pretty small, so we might have to resize. Okay, let me zoom in. I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan. Basically trying to have the mouth not be totally shut. That was sometimes you'll grab things and they'll, go against what you're trying to get them to do. Anyway, we're going to press Z, go to wireframe. So now the mouth is bigger. We'll go back to solid. We'll select here all these faces here, and we'll press Z to go back to wireframe. Now we'll press S to scale. Okay, now we'll press Z to go back to solid view. Take a look. Let's grab this here. Actually want to turn back on regular proportional editing tool. Go back to vertices, select. I'm going to press A to deselect there. I'm going to select right here. Press Z, go to wireframe. I'm going to press G. Put this in. See how it's kind of hard to see what's going on because the geometry from the neck. One of the things you can do, particularly this seems to help when you're dealing with reference. I held the middle mouse button and turned to the side. Now I'm going to press Z, go to wireframe, right? I'm going to hold Control, hold down the right mouse button, and then grab all this area right here. Now I'm going to press, I'm going to go to face select, I'm going to press Shift H, and what that does is it hides everything but this area right here. So it's still there, it's just invisible. So now when we come back to here and we go to work, it's a little bit easier to work here. Actually a lot easier. So we'll select here, press G, pull in here. Press Z, go to solid view. Hold the middle mouse button, take a look to the side. Okay, it's coming along. Okay, so we'll press go front to go back to front view. What we're going to do now is click here, click disable. We could also press O to turn that off. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to edge select. We're going to select this edge. We're going to push this over more towards the center, just because we're about to deal with the geometry right there, and I'd rather have it, you know, this line be towards the center. Since we did that, we'll grab here, push this in just slightly, grab there, push that in just slightly. Okay, we're still on vertice select. I'm actually going to grab this right here and push this in a little bit more. I'm going to select this vertice, push this in a little bit more. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press A to deselect. I'll actually do it this way so you can see it. So we want to put a loop cut right here. And remember I told you we can do a loop cut another way besides the shortcut way. So we select here, loop cut. See that when I move my mouse over here, there's the loop cuts, and we left click to lock in, left click again to totally lock in. And now we're going to go to phase select. We're going to select here. Actually, we got it back to vertice select. Push these in, so away from the edge. Oops, wrong one. Just roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. Okay, so now we're going to go to phase select, and we're going to select right here. Hold the middle mouse button, take a look. Press 1. We're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We just made new geometry. We're going to shrink that new geometry down. We're going to pull back slightly. Now we're going to go back to our navigation tab. We're going to select front view. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to press Z to go to wireframe mode. We're then going to press O to turn our proportional editing back on. This is the regular proportional editing, not connected proportional editing. We're going to press S to scale on the X-axis. Then we're going to press S to scale on the Z-axis. Okay, now we're going to press Z, go back to solid to take a look. Okay, we're going to press Z, go back to wireframe. We're going to press G so we can see our proportional editing tools area of influence. We're going to roll this up a little bit bigger so we don't have things bunching up too much on us. See how big I have the area of influence, because I want to make sure that I wanted to move the eye into place, but I wanted the geometry around it to not be bunched up. So then I'm going to left click to lock it in. I'm going to press Z to go to solid view. Looking good so far. Okay, now what we're going to do is select front to go back to front view. We're going to press Z, go to wireframe to take a look. And I'm going to press S to scale on the Z axis. Roll the mouse wheel in a little bit. I'm going to press Z to go back to solid view to take a look. I saw the nose was off. So one of the things we're going to do is select here, 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 and here. We'll select front, press Z, go to wireframe mode. We'll press G, shrink it down somewhat. Just move the nose so it's where it should be. Press Z to go back to solid view. Press A to deselect. We're just taking a look again. Okay, now we're going to press Alt H to bring back our hidden geometry. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. Our ear is going to come right from here. So one of the things we're going to do is I'm going to click here, turn off disable for the proportional editing tool. I'm going to hold the shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to go to vertice select. We're going to just be pulling these vertices in the neck down here. I rolled the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. We just want to drag this down some, straighten these out some. And the reason why we're doing this is for this area right here. which is where our ear is going to come from. Just, you know, evening out this line is basically what I'm doing right here. You know, setting up for the ear to come in. Again, there's, you know, pushing these vertices, getting ready for that ear. Oops, Control Z. Just because it had jumped a little bit more than I wanted it to, and no, that's not decent for the ear. We're just trying to get more of a square shape. Doesn't have to be, you know, totally, but a little bit more, you know, set up for the ear. Okay, I'm just going to pull this vertice back slightly, push this up slightly, because generally that area that you want to look for is the area from the eye to the around the bottom of the nose. So we're going to go to face select. Select all these faces here. Now we're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, press S to scale. Press S to scale more. I'm going to select right. I'm going to press Z so I can go to wireframe. I'm then going to press O to turn on proportional edit, or the proportional editing tool. I'm going to press G. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to increase my influence to a decent amount of size. Then I'm going to move this ear. You can see how I'm rolling the mouse wheel up just to move, you know, a pretty good amount of geometry right there. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press G again, shrink down the area of influence. I'm going to press Z. S to scale in the Z axis is what I pressed. And I'm going to press S to scale in the Y axis. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. I'm going to press Z to go into solid view. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. I'm then going to press E to extrude on the X axis. You can see the preview line there showing me, you know, I'm going to go pull it out about this far. Then you're going to press S to scale just slightly. You're then going to go to vertice select. You're going to select here. Let me zoom in so you can see this. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Roll the mouse wheel in to zoom in a little bit more. So I have this vertice selected. I'm holding shift and I'm going to select this vertice, right? Make sure you have the proportional editing tool turned off. Then I'm going to press Alt M. This brings up our merge to menu. I'm going to choose at last. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing here and below. But we can use another command which basically repeats the last command. So I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here. This time I'm going to press shift R. And what that shift R does is it just repeats the last command that you just put in. So I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, press shift R. Then I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, and then press shift R. Okay, now we're just going to roll the mouse wheel back to take a look. We'll select this vertice here, pull this up some, select this, pull this down some. Just making a circular shape just by pushing and pulling vertices, holding the middle mouse button just to take a look. Okay, so what we're going to do is select front to go back to front view. We're going to press Z, then wireframe. So there's our ears there. So we're going to press Z, go to solid view. We're going to go to face select. Select here, hold shift, select here, 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 and here. We'll select front view and then Z to go to wireframe. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. Now I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. Pull out some. Press Z to go back to solid just to make sure it's going right, and it looks like it is. Oops, sorry. I'm going to press front, Press Z to go back in the wireframe. What we're going to do now is press O to turn on our proportional edit. Press G so we can see our area of influence. Then we're going to press S to scale this ear size down some. Okay, we're going to press Z, go back to solid. We're going to grab this point right here. Press front. And press O. Oops. Press O again. I want this proportional editing tool on. I'm going to press Z to go to wireframe. Then I'm going to press G. Shrink the area of influence. And I'm just trying to match this up more with the reference. Select here. Press G. Pull this in some. Select here. Press Z to go back to solid view. Okay, now we're going to hold the middle mouse button and just take a look at this. We're going to go to Edge Select. We're going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. Select here, hold Shift, select here. All those three I just selected by holding Shift. I'm going to push this in a little. I'm going to select here, hold Shift, select here and here. Push that forward some. I'm going to go to Vertice Select. I'm going to select right here. Push this forward some. And then in some. Actually going to bring it back a little. So let's go to front view. Press Z. Go to wireframe. Press Z. Come back to solid view. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. Hold the middle mouse button. Turn to the side. We're going to go to face select. We're going to select here. All of these faces right here. We're going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. We just created new geometry. Because we created that new geometry, now we can scale it down like so. Okay, with that scaled down geometry, now we're going to press E to extrude and just go in a little bit, then press S to scale a little. Okay, now we're going to select front view. See this right here looking strange? So we'll go to Vertice Select. We'll select there. We'll go back to front view. We'll press O to turn on our proportional editing tool. And then we'll just we'll press X as we move to push that in. Select here. We'll do the same thing. I'll go to front view. Press G. And just push that in, then hold the middle mouse button just to check. Just taking a look right here. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. Just checking that out. Okay, now we're going to go to Edge Select. Let's select right here, 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 and here. I'm holding Shift, by the way. I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in, not holding the Shift, and not holding Shift Y while I zoom in. And now with all those selected, I'm just going to take the manipulator and just push in something like that. Hold the middle mouse button just to take a look. Go to select here, push in slightly. Push out here, push up just very slightly there. Holding Shift and middle mouse button to pan, rolling the mouse wheel to zoom back, pressing A to deselect. Down just slightly. Okay, we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to select right here and push this down little. Hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side to take a look. Let's go back to front view, press Z, go to wireframe to take a look. I'm going to press Z, go back to solid view. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to face select. We're going to select here, hold shift, and select here, here, and here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side just so I can get like a 3D kind of view of that. I'm going to press E to extrude on the Y axis. I'm going to take this end just slightly. Left click to lock in. I'm going to press S to scale it down just slightly. I'm then going to press X to bring up the delete menu. I'm going to choose faces to delete those faces. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to take a look. I'm going to press A to make sure everything's deselected. So because everything is selected now, I know when I press A, everything is deselected. I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to select this edge right here. Then I'm going to press Shift S. This brings up our Snap to menu. I'm then going to choose Cursor to Selected. Okay, the reason why we did that was we want the 3D cursor to be right in the center of these edges because we're about to bring an eye in. So we've been in edit mode for most of this tutorial. We're going to click here and go to object mode. And now here we are in object mode. So we're going to bring another object in. And in Blender, objects tend to come into where your 3D cursor is at. So we're going to press Shift A. That brings up our add menu, and then with mesh we're going to look over to where it says UV sphere. We're going to select here. This pops up. Before you click anything, look over to the left, see where it says segments. You want to click here, take the segments there down to 12. The reason why we're lowering them down is because in case you want to animate this in the future, there's no reason to have that many segments, as far as I know anyway. So you want to take your rings down to 12 as well. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press S to scale this down, and we're going to hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side, take our manipulator and pull this back some. Then I'm going to select here to go in the front view. I'm then going to select here. Currently we're in global mode. We're going to select here to go into local mode. All the other objects around are still there. They're just, for the most part, hidden. So here what we're going to do is we're going to click here. We're going to go into edit mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press Shift D to duplicate. And I tend to pull to the side just so I know for sure that there is a duplicate, which you can see right here. And I'm just going to right click to get that to jump right back. I'm now going to press S to scale 0.94 and then left click to lock in. And what that did was that took the duplicated sphere and shrunk it down so that it's inside of this sphere. So now that sphere is still selected. So I know it's still selected even though I can't see it. So what I'm going to do is press R to rotate on the x-axis 90, then left click to lock in. You can even see it starting to come through the first sphere a little bit since I rotated it. We'll zoom in here. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to with edge select on, I'm going to hold Alt, I'm going to select right here. I'm going to press Control E to bring up our edges menu. I'm going to select mark seam. Okay, and the reason why I did that was I wanted to just be able to, I'm going to press A once to deselect that. I'm going to press A again to select everything, then A again once more to make sure everything is unselected. Because I put a seam here, now I can press L and select this entire bottom part right here. Now most of the time when you mark seams, you're marking them for the purposes of UV unwrapping. In this case, I just marked the seam just so I could grab this section more easier. So now I'm going to press X to bring up the delete menu, then choose faces to delete that whole section right there. And if by some chance having this scene here bothered you, you can just hold Alt, select this seam again. Wait a second. While holding Alt, then you would just hit Control E and then choose clear seam. And now the seam is gone. So I'm going to press A to deselect there. I'm going to select here to go to right view. I'm going to hover over this. It's going to be an eyelid and press L. I'm going to press R to rotate. Whoops. Right click. We need it to rotate right on here. And to do that, we're going to click here to our pivot point. We're going to choose 3D cursor. So now this will pivot right on the 3D cursor. So now we'll press R to rotate. We don't need an axis since we're on our right orthographic view. And then what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button, turn towards the front. And what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. Still on edge select, we're going to hold Alt, select here. While holding Alt, we're going to press E to extrude to create new geometry. Left click to lock in. Press S to scale. Then left click to lock in again. Then we're going to press A to deselect. Hold Alt. Zoom in so you can see this. I'm going to hold Alt and select this edge right here. Now I'm going to press Control B for bevel. I'm going to pull very slightly. And bevel just takes a line, and for the most part it makes two lines basically. It allows you to change edges particularly well. And once we press that Control B and put that bevel here, now we have options right here. So we want to take these options and adjust them. The segments we want to take up to 2, and then we want to go to where it says Profile 0.5 and change this to 1. And the reason why we're doing this is so that we'll have a hard line right here once we put a subdivision surface on here. So what we're going to do now is select right to go into right view. Okay, and since we got that little bit of work done here, that's why we did this first before we duplicate this. Now we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to hover here, press L, press Shift D. I tend to pull to the side just to make sure that I have the duplicate. I'm going to right click to get that to go right back, and then I'm just going to press R to rotate this like so, and then left click to lock in. Okay, now we're going to select front to go to front view. We're going to press A to deselect. We're going to go to face select. We're going to press C for paint select. We're going to select all of this right here. I'm going to right click to get out of there. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. Then I'm going to press S to scale. You want to make sure this isn't still set for the 3D cursor, so I just right click to get out of that. We need to change this back to the medium point. So now that it's on the medium point, now we can do what I was trying to do before. So that's S to scale on the Y axis, -1, and then left click to lock in. And then with this area still selected here, we'll just pull this back so it's not, it doesn't have the, it's not, no polygons are passing through each other as far as this eyelid is concerned. Okay, we're going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the front of this. Press A to deselect, press C for paint select. We're going to select right here. Right click to get out of paint select. We're going to press E to extrude on the Y axis. Take this back like that. We're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to select the edge right here. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, then I'm going to press Control B, pull just slightly to put a bevel, line there. The reason why I'm doing that is so that when we put a subdivision surface on here, this will stay very hard. And that, same thing will happen here, here, and we also want that as here for this line as well. So we're going to hold Alt, select here, and then press Control B for bevel, pull slightly, left click to lock in. Okay, one more thing. If by some chance you want the eye to be not open this big, if you want this eye to look dilated, we can press A to deselect there. And then with this edge select on, we can select here. And then what we can do is press S to scale. And we can actually make this, look like there's a lot of light coming into the eye, or actually make it look like there's, more light coming in, just so you know about it, that you can do that. You can also in the future put a shape key on this, and that shape key would allow you to adjust the eye, as far as if you had a beam of light hitting it, you could set it up so it animates so that you could see this eye actually reacting to the light. Okay, what we're going to do now is you're going to select front to go to front view. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. You're going to press A to deselect there, A to select everything again. You're going to click to which looks like a wrench, which is the modifier menu. You're going to click here. You're going to come down and you're going to select subdivision surface. Then you can click here to take this view up to 2. And then you also want to put a check mark here to make it look like the modifier is applied. Then you want to hover your mouse over this viewport and press Z and then select Shade Smooth. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Let's zoom in so you can see this. This edge right here, the top edge. I'm going to hold Shift, select here, zoom in back out just a little bit, holding Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to hold Shift and select right here. So we have just these 3 edges selected right there. Okay, with those 3 edges selected, we're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We're just going to pull to the side just like that. This looks kind of strange how it is right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Face Select. Select, we're going to press C for Paint Select and paint all this right here. I held the middle mouse button to unselect this, which I didn't want selected. Now what we're going to do is right click to get out of Paint Select. We're going to press Control N, and that just recalculates the normals. And normals are just the direction that polygons are facing, is I guess the simplest way to describe it. I'm going to go back to Edge Select. I'm going to select here, hold Shift, and select here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to pull back here. Alright, now I'm going to select just this one right here. So I'm holding the middle mouse button so you can see. Pull this back some more, and you have this right here looking a little strange. We're going to select right here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm just going to push this actually forward a little bit to try to get rid of some of that strangeness there. I'm going to grab here, do the same as well, push forward, and now that looks better. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, you know what, since we're here, you actually go to Vertice Select like this and push this in somewhat. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom the mouse wheel back, and we can always come back and we probably will work on this a little bit later. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go, if you ever are surprised like not seeing objects in here, it might be because you're in local mode, and you can just look right here and see if you're in local mode. So we click back here to go back to global mode, and what we're going to do now is we have this eye here. We are going to go to object mode, select this face. We're going to press Control 2, and what that did is that put a subdivision surface on here automatically. And then what we're going to do now is press Z and then put Shade Smooth on. And the reason why we did that is so we can see how this eye is, fitting in here. Okay, and typically when you put a subdivision surface on, usually you have some changes in your mesh as it tries to smooth out. So one of the things we're going to do is that we're going to go into edit mode. We're going to click this button right here, which makes it look like the subdivision surface was applied. We're going to roll our mouse wheel in. We're going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to roll in more, and I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. What I'm going to do now is press Control R to put a loop cut in right here. I'm going to left click one time, and that because I left click one time, I still have the ability to move this. Then I'm just going to push it out just to give some definition to these lips. Then I'm going to zoom back. And the reason why we did all that work on the eye was so that we can just duplicate it to the other side. So I'm going to click here to go back into this mode. And what we'll do now is we'll select this eye. Okay, and what we want to do is duplicate this eye exactly to the other side, and that's actually pretty easy to do. And the way we do that is we're going to press Shift C. When I press this, the 3D cursor will jump to right here. Zoom us back some, but that's fine. You can see the 3D cursor right there. And what we want to do is pivot off of this 3D cursor. So we're going to click here. Blender's default pivot point is medium point. We're going to select 3D cursor. Then with the eye selected, we're going to press Shift D. I pull it to the side just to so I know that the eye is, selected. Or I should say, I know that it's duplicated. I'm going to right click to get it to jump back. Then I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis, -1. And then left click to lock in. Okay, right here is a little bit rough, so what we're going to do is we're going to select this. We're going to click here, turn our pivot point back to the default pivot point, which is the medium point. We've been in object mode and edit mode. We're now going to go into scope mode. And what scope mode is, it's a mode that allows you to very easily manipulate your mesh. It's very good for smoothing out things. So if we click here, the tools panel, and we click here, this is going to open up a panel of brushes that we can see. So these are our different brushes. What we want right now is a smooth brush. You can set the strength of the brush right here. It tends to be too strong as far as a mesh that has a fairly low amount of polygons in it. So what we're going to do is, hold the left mouse button, just pull this back some, and then we're just looking for, I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in, places where it looks a little rough, like here, and I'm just left clicking over and over to smooth this area out. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on the mouth. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. There's a little bit of weirdness here, so we'll just, there we go, smooth that out. Okay, and let's click here, go into edit mode, go back to our navigation tab, select right, zoom in and press Z, then wireframe to look. And we can see what happened. The mouth got pulled back quite a bit, so we'll select here. And when I say it got pulled back by a subdivision surface. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Alt-O to turn on our connected proportional editing tool. We'll zoom in here. And we're going to press G to grab, roll the mouse wheel in to adjust the, circle of influence. I'm going to press G, roll the mouse wheel in, pull this forward a little bit. I'm going to select here, let me zoom in, select here, and here and here. Then I'm going to press G, roll my mouse wheel, and just move this up some like that. Right here for the nose, what we'll do is select here and here. We'll press G. Move this up. Now we'll just select this. This up a little bit more. Whoops. I just clicked to go into object mode. Now I'm going to select here to go to solid mode just to take a look. And press Z and go back into wireframe again. See how there's so much wireframe here? You can reduce how much there is if it bothers you by looking for the wrench, which is your modifier panel, and then looking for your subdivision surface panel, which is right here. This right here says optimal display. You put a check mark right there and it makes it much simpler. As a matter of fact, we'll click solid, we'll select the eye, and then I'll show you. We'll press Z, go into wireframe. You can see that density. We'll select here, and now it's just easier to deal with. You have this separate eye, so we'll do the same thing. And then I'll press Z to go back to solid mode. Okay, and we can see the mouth is open now. So what we're going to do is click here, select here to go into edit mode. We'll make sure we're on vertices. Select we have connected proportional editing turned on. And remember, you can click here and get to connected proportional editing and turn it on, or regular right here, or you can disable it right here. So when you see this circle there, that is the connected proportional edit. When you see this kind of looks like a donut, when you see a full circle there, that's the regular proportional edit. So we're going to press G so we can see our area of influence. We're going to pull up some, not too much. We're going to select these three vertices right here. We're going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. because we want the lip to kind of get pulled back that way a little bit. So we're going to press G, pull down, not too much. Now we're going to zoom back. We're going to press A to deselect. And that's fine for now. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to select front here. We're going to press Z, go to our wireframe, and we can see our neck is kind of thick. So to make adjustments like this, it's very easy to adjust the mesh in the sculpting mode. So we'll click here and then select sculpt mode. Now we can see right about here is where we need this neck to be. So I'm just going to press Z to go to solid mode. I want to select the tool tab, click here to open up my brushes for sculpt mode. I'm going to go to grab, and most of the time in sculpt mode, this is what I use the most. So we're just going to pull this, and in sculpt mode, if I press F and then pull my mouse, the area of influence will get bigger if I press F and push it in. So it's kind of like the proportional edit tool, but with the proportional edit tool, you roll your mouse in and roll it out. Here you press F and pull your mouse out or pull your mouse in. So I'm going to press F to pull this out to make it a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to grab this neck here to just pull that in some, and see right here, I'm just going to grab here and pull this in some. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here, go back to object mode. Don't be too concerned about the head because that's going to be covered up by hair. So we're going to right click right here. We're going to press Shift A to bring in a plane. We're then going to press R to rotate on the X axis 90. Left click to lock in. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis, and then S to scale on the Z axis, like that. Okay, what this is going to be is this is going to be the hair strand that we're going to turn into, hopefully, this right here. So what we're going to do is, with this selected, we're going to click here. We're going to go to edit mode. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm then going to press Control R. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to get 4 loop cuts. So that's 1 already there. Then it's going to be 2, 3, and then 4, and then left click to lock in. Left click again to totally lock in. I'm then going to press Control R to put a loop cut here, right in the center. Left click once, left click again to totally lock in. Okay, and with that center line selected, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side, and I'm going to push out like this so that this plane has some, 3D-ness to it, I guess you could call it. I'm going to select this vertex right here. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to select this vertex right here. I'm going to pull this down. Okay, we're about to unwrap this, and when we unwrap this, the rest of the strands that are duplicated from here will also be unwrapped. What we need to do, though, is we're going to go to object mode. With this selected, I'm going to press the N key to bring up the properties menu. See with the properties menu right here, these numbers really should be 1, 1, and 1. Because I scaled this object in object mode, it made the scale a little bit difficult as far as unwrapping this. However, it's fairly easily fixed. I'm going to press Control A. This apply menu pops up, and then we choose scale, and now you can see that this is it's back to what it would have been before I scaled it, which is what we want it to be. Okay, so just so you can see how this works, what I'm going to do is press N to take away this properties menu. I'm going to select this triangular looking thing right here. I'm going to left click and drag. Right here we are in our, this is our 3D port. By dragging, I just opened up another window that you can see, and it just does our 3D viewport when I drag it over. However, we can click here, and you can see when I hover here that we're in our 3D viewport. What we're going to do is click here, and we're going to go to where it says UV/image editor. Okay, with that there, now with this object selected, we're going to click edit to go into this object's edit mode. We're going to select A. That deselected there. We're going to press A again to select everything, and now with everything selected, we're going to press U to bring up our unwrapping menu. Then we're going to choose unwrap, and now here it is unwrapped here. I'm going to press R actually to rotate. So I want it like this. I'm going to press G to move this up. That circle there. The proportional editing tool works in here as well. So that's what that circle is. I'm going to click here and choose disable. So this is it's fine how this is now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hover my mouse wheel here. I'm going to left click and hold and pull. See that arrow right there? It's letting me know that the window to the right is going to overtake the window or viewport to the left, which kind of brings us back to where we were at before we, open up the UV unwrapping viewport. Okay, there's one more thing we want to do as far as this original hair strand, and we're going to select this vertex right here. We're going to press Shift S and then choose cursor to selected. We're going to click here to go into object mode, and then with our 3D cursor here, what we're going to do is go to object, transform, and then we're going to choose origin to 3D cursor, which puts the origin right here, which will make this a lot easier to deal with as far as or it'll make the strands that are duplicated from this a lot easier to deal with. Okay, before we go on to deal with this hair, I'm going to select here. I'm going to click here to go into edit mode. I'm going to go to our navigation tab. I'm going to select front. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to select here, hold shift and select here. I'm going to press shift D, left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side, push this forward just slightly. I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. Take the manipulator, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back, take the manipulator and pull up some. With just I'm rolling the mouse wheel in, I'm going to hold the shift and middle mouse button pan. With just that edge selected, I'm going to press Control L to select the entire thing. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. Then I'm going to push out just slightly to give some thickness to these eyebrows here. I'm then going to press Control L. What that does is that grabs the entire if you have an edge, face, or a vertex selected on an object, even though it's an object within an object, because we're still in edit mode, if you press Control L, you'll grab the whole thing. Also, if you look here, because we made new geometry in here, it doesn't have the smooth shading on it yet, so we're going to press Z, and we're going to choose smooth shading for that. Okay, and so what we're going to do now is go front view, press Z, go to wireframe, hold the middle mouse button to rotate. To hold the middle mouse button to pan while holding shift. I'm going to press R to rotate here. Take the manipulator, push down, press S to scale. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to press Z, select solid view. And should be good for the eyebrows. Okay, now we're going to click here, go to object mode. We're going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, we're going to select here. We can see our origin point is right there, so we're good as far as this hair strand. So let's get to work on forming this hair. Okay, I learned this technique off of, I believe it was Lee Salmini, old Blender tutorial, and I've done many different ways of doing, or maybe not many, I've done a few different ways of doing hair, and I like this one that Lee came up with. With this hair strand, we're going to press Control 2 to put a subdivision surface on it. We're then going to press Z, and then we're going to choose Shade Smooth. I'm going to give it a view of just one. And one other thing we're going to do is we're going to click here. We're going to select edit mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to press A to deselect there. We're going to go to face select. We're going to select all this right here. I'm going to hold C and select all this. Holding the middle mouse button to turn. Pressing C. Okay, now with all of that grab there, what we're going to do is press Shift D, left click to lock in. We're then going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, and then press Alt S to make this expand out some. And then with this top selected, we're going to press Control L to grab this entire thing. We're going to press P, which brings up our separate menu. Then we're going to choose separate by selection. And now what we did was we just made some base hair, and we separated it from this object. So now when I click here and select object, this is its own separate object, as you can see. Okay, so what we're going to do now is with this hair piece selected, now we're going to click here, go into edit mode, we're going to select, we're going to make sure we're on face select, not there. Select here, hold shift, and select here. And this, because this came from this object, it has a mirror modifier on it, which is fine. And we're going to press O to turn on our proportional edit tool, and we're just going to pull this up some. Up a little bit more, like that. Okay, now we're going to go back to object mode. We're going to select here, we're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. Bring this here. Actually, let's press S to scale. A little bit bigger. And I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis. I'm just holding the middle mouse button to rotate. Put this in about like that. I'm going to press Control A to apply the scale to it. And we're going to select front view, press Z, go into wireframe. And this strand, we're going to try to make it go for like that. So I'm going to press Z, go back to solid mode. And now with that selected, that strand, I'm going to click here to go into its edit mode. Okay, so this is our reference. We don't have to go exactly by that. Let me select here. I'm going to go to vertice select. I'm going to select right here. Then I'm going to press S to scale. Roll my mouse wheel up. Rolling my mouse wheel to shape that hair a little bit like that. So I selected it by pressing G, and then when I rolled the area of influence up, it made this taper down. Is basically what happened. I press G again and make this smaller. I'm just gonna push this down. I'm using the area of influence to control this hair strand basically. I'm gonna hold shift and middle mouse button so you can see a little bit better view there. I'm gonna press G so you can kind of see it. Just rolling the mouse wheel, just get it to come down some. I guess so. We'll press G, make this bigger, and press Z to go straight up. Select L. Turn off the proportional edit tool by pressing circle. Just move these loop cuts down a little bit. I'm going to hold Alt and select here, press G. I'm going to press 0 to turn the proportional editing tool on, roll the mouse wheel, and move this to the side a little. So now I'm going to go to front view, and I'm going to press Z, wireframe, and take a look. So we're trying to get it kind of like there, so I'm going to press Z, go back to solid view. I'm going to go to face select, roll the mouse wheel in, roll the mouse wheel out, press G and move this to the side a little. Let's actually press Z, go to wireframe, try to see if we can line this up a little bit more. Okay. Okay, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to press A to select this entire hair strand. I'm going to turn this view up to 2 because I like it better like that. I'm also going to click here so I don't forget, select here and turn the view up to 2 for this, so that all of these hair strands will have that as we continue to duplicate them. So when I select back here again, go back into edit mode. So now what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. Oops, Control Z. We need to turn off our proportional editing tool. You can see it's off now. Just going to pull this over something like this. And I'm going to select this edge right here. So I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button, select both of these edges, hold the middle mouse button to turn, take the manipulator and push these down here. For this one I'm going to press L to select the entire thing. Then I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. Whoops. Press A to deselect because I still had a piece selected here. I'm going to press L here now. I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button so you can see better. I press R to rotate on the Z axis. This. I'm going to press S to scale it in just to give it some difference from the other one. Let's take a look at our reference. We'll go to front view, Z, then wireframe. So it comes down like that. So we'll press Z. We'll select here, hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side, hold Shift, select here, hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side, and we'll press O to turn the proportional editing tool on. Actually, we need the connected proportional editing tool, so we're going to click here. We need connected because the regular proportional editing tool, when I tried to move this, started to move this. So now with connected, it'll just move this strand of hair. Just by rolling the mouse wheel, gives us pretty decent control. Press G, zoom this in. And remember, you know, like I told you, that's a guide. The other, the reference. I'm going to press L for here. I'm actually going to go to face select. I'll select right here, hold Shift, select right here, and press G to pull this forward just a little. I guess I'll move it that way a little. We'll go to front view, press Z. Okay, here's our reference, so it's kind of going that way. Go back to solid view. Let me push that over a little bit more. Hold the middle mouse button to push this out some. And now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn back to the front view. Okay, what I'm going to do now is select, press L while hovering over this hair strand. I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. I'm going to pull this, press Control Z. I'm going to press O to turn off that proportional editing. So it was on connected proportional editing, so when I pressed O, it turned it to regular proportional editing. Press O again, and now you can see that it's totally off. So now I'm going to drag this to the side and then roll back. Get a better view. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm now going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. Just a little like that. Drag this out to the side. A little bit more like that. I'm going to press S to scale. Push this up a little, out to the side a little bit more. I'm going to go to Edge Select. Roll the mouse wheel in, hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan. Roll it in a little bit more, hold Shift, zoom out. I'm going to press Alt O, which is a shortcut to turn on proportional editing. Pull this out to the side, so I'm like this. I'm going to it's a little bit thicker. Not too much. Press G, shrink my proportional editing tool down. I'm going to lose the 3D-ness that I have of the hair. You want to be careful as far as your hair intersecting and doing unwanted things you don't want it to do. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to press A to deselect, A to select everything, A to again to make sure that nothing is selected. We're going to press L to select here. We're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. We're going to pull to the side. Control Z. Forgot to turn off the proportional editing. I can click here and select disable. That way I don't have to push the O 2 times. I can just click disable there. Okay, so we have this hair strand selected to duplicate, so we'll just pull this over to the side like so. I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. Slightly, I'm going to press S to scale this actually up some. Pull to the side a little bit more. Just taking a look to see what's going on. We don't want this too far away from the head. So we're going to press O to turn on our proportional editing tool. We're going to press G and then roll our mouse wheel up. And we're going to use this to just pull in some. Press G to move this down. I'm going to select right here. Go to edge select, press O. Select this edge right here. Push that out some more. Okay, let's go to front view. Okay, we're going to press Z, go to wireframe to take a look. Okay, we're pretty... this is kind of going towards here. Press Z, go back to solid. We're actually going to go to edge select. Select these edges here. We're going to press Alt O to turn on connected proportional editing. You can also click here and just turn on connected. We're going to press Alt O, turn it off. Now it's on, and now we're just going to grab this, kind of pull it out like that to there. And something else we can do, see this space right here I don't like. Instead of just adjusting these individually, what we can do is quickly go into scope mode. We can go to our tools panel here. We can select here. There's something called inflate, deflate. So we can select here, make sure this is on inflate, and then you see that right there. It just very quickly and nicely, make sure that there's no spaces. Then we'll just click here. Turn it back to grab mode. We'll click here and go back to edit mode. Okay, we're actually going to deviate from the reference. Hopefully you've seen enough here where you can see how to actually shape each of your individual hair strands, and because you're shaping each one, you could get it to look exactly like that, or at least pretty close to that. However, we're going to speed it up a little bit, and what we're going to do, since we have these hair strands here already made, what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of them. We're going to right click right here to put a 3D cursor right there. Then we're going to go to our pivot point. We're going to change this to the 3D cursor. And what we're going to do now is we're going to press press A once versus deselected, then I pressed A again, it selected everything. What we're going to do is press Shift D and then left click to lock in. And what we're going to do here is we're going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. And what it does is it allows us to take this hair and I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis and just put it, right off of that pivot point to the bare spots. And it's nice because it's fairly quick. Okay, and currently I'm just leaving on the connected proportional editing for no particular reason. Doesn't seem like it's really getting in our way. So I'm going to press R to rotate on the Y axis to pull this in a little bit closer to the hair. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate, take a look. Push this out this way just a little. And now with that hair selected, I'm going to press Shift D. And then right click to get it to jump back. And we still have our 3D cursor there, so what we're going to do is press R to rotate on the Z axis. Here, pull that up a little bit there. Okay, and we'll hold the middle mouse button to turn to get a better look. And since this is coming down, we want to cover over this right here. So we're going to press S to scale on the Z axis like that. Okay, and we're going to press R to rotate on the X axis to get this to pop out a little. Left click to lock in. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to look towards the front. You can see it's sticking out a little bit there. We're going to press R to rotate on the Y axis to pull it in a little bit. Then I'm going to press S to scale on the Z axis a little bit more. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to take a look at the top. I'm going to go to phase select. I'm going to select here. Oh, actually here, here, and here. I'm going to press G and pull these closer to the center there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to navigation, select front view. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. And actually I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to press A to deselect there. Then I'm going to hover here and press L, 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 L. And L just allows you to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. L just allows you to select an entire not connected to other things object. So I'm just pressing L. Okay, with all of this selected now, we're going to select front view again. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press Shift C, which centers our 3D cursor. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan, roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. And what we're going to do with all of this selected now is we're going to press Shift D, and just like the eye, I pull to the side just to make sure it's duplicated. I right click to get it to jump right back. And now we have this pivot point. We've had it set on the 3D cursor to pivot for a while, so it's still on that 3D cursor. And by pressing Shift C, the 3D cursor is directly in the center of this mesh. So what we want to do is copy this now duplicate over to the other side, and that's what we're about to do. Very similar to what we did with the eye. We're going to press S to scale on the X axis, -1. Left click to lock in. This has a kind of funny looking shading on it. It's because the normals aren't right since we duplicated it like we did. So we just press Control N and it recalculates the normals and fixes that strange shading looking issue that we had there. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. With phase select on, I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here and here. Hold the middle mouse button to turn back. I'm going to press G. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to click here to change this from the pivot point, the 3D cursor, pivot point back to Blender's default pivot point, which is medium point. I'm gonna press G, roll the mouse wheel, and just pull this in a little bit closer to the head. I'll grab this and pull this a little closer. Just moving this on the x-axis. Sorry, my brain went. Looks like this edge here, and move that up a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to hold them in the mouse button. I'm going to put the 3D cursor about here. I'm going to hover my mouse over this piece of hair, press L, I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in, press R to rotate on the, change this back from Blender's default pivot point, which is medium point, back to the 3D cursor. Then I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. Just trying to get rid of that kind of blank spot right there. I think I'm going to hit S to scale. Okay, now we're on edge select. Let's select these edges right here so we can pull this forward some. We'll click here and change this from the pivot, the 3D cursor, back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. Let me just push that forward. Okay, we have this here, so let's see how these are crossing through each other. So I'm gonna roll the mouse wheel in, hold shift as I am on edge select, and I grab those two edges. We're still on connected proportional edit, so I'm gonna press G and just move this, hold the middle mouse button to turn that way, and this one we'll select here, press G, and we'll move this that way. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold shift, hold the middle mouse button, just turn to the side. I'm going to place the 3D cursor right here. Okay, and before that, I'm looking at this right here. I'm going to, still on edge select, I'm going to select here and select here. And remember, the reason why when I have connected proportional edit that I only move this one and not the other ones is because it's connected proportional edit, not regular proportional edit. So it's pretty useful. So I'm just going to move this because this is crossing up top. So I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button, pan, select here. And I'm just moving it so it's not crossing. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to change from Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, back to the 3D cursor. We're going to hold our mouse here, select L, press Shift D, left click to lock in, and then I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis to pop this up some. Just there was a spot right there. I guess I'll go with edge select here. When I change from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, pull this up some here. There you can see the hair. You could spend a lot of time on it. It's probably worth spending a lot of time on it. But it's definitely it can be intricate working with it. That's one of the interesting things about learning things in Blender. There's multiple different ways of doing things. Sometimes there'll be an excellent way to do something, but it's not a way that works particularly for you, is what I find often. I like to find methods that I like, I understand, and that work for me. And a lot of times those methods, switch around and switch back. Okay, I'm just holding the middle mouse button, just taking a look and seeing what we have here. I'm going to select edge here and Pull that back some. Hold the middle mouse button, just turn it to the side. Okay, let's go into sculpt mode. And we're going to select this inflate deflate brush. You want to make sure that you're on inflate and not deflate. And we're just looking for areas like this. You don't want to do too much. Let's see how the inflate brush like fills in gaps. You don't want to do too much, but it is pretty decent. You can also hold it and drag it. I feel like I have more control by clicking it. You want to be careful about having your hair, you know, intersect itself like it was doing before. And then things like this that pop up, you just go to edit mode, grab an edge on the front of it. As long as you have your connected proportional editing on, you should be able to deal with stuff like this fairly easily. I'm just holding the middle mouse button to rotate. Just grabbing a few. All I need is a few edges there. Just pull this in. Okay, and what we'll do now is we'll select this thing right here. And I was just kind of trying to use it like a guide. But we don't need that, so I'm going to press X and choose delete to get rid of it. Okay, let's do some adjustments to the face. So we're going to select on the head mesh. Matter of fact, while we're selecting on it, let's name it by double clicking right here. Head mesh. And what we're going to do is go into sculpt mode. We're going to select here, go to our grab brush, and I'm going to pull this jaw down right here a little. Something else we're going to do is we're going to go back to object mode, and we're actually going to change our pivot point to individual origins. And what this does is we're going to select these eyes, zoom in, and we're going to shrink these eyes down some. So we're going to select here to go back to our navigational tab, select front. Let's press Z, go to wireframe, and we can see if you look in there, here's our eye and here's the eyes there, how much bigger these eyes are. So because we have these both selected and we have them on individual origins, what we can do is press S to scale. I'm going to click here to go back to solid view. And then what we're going to do now is turn to the side, push these forward some. So now we'll select right on this head mesh right here, go to edit mode, and we'll select this edge. I'm holding Alt and I have edge selected right there. Actually, before that, let's select here, hold Shift, and select this edge. Hit Control Z. I'm going to press G to lower the area of influence down. I'm going to push this over some like that. Now what we're going to do is press A to deselect, press Alt, select this edge right here, and press S to scale. Hold the middle mouse button and take a look. I'm going to select here again and here by holding Shift. I'm going to select S to scale on the Z axis. Push that over a little. Now I'm going to select here and here. Zoom in so you can see. I'm going to press G and just pull that over some like that. Okay, and I can still see a little bit of space right here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually click here, click disable for the proportional editing tool. We're going to hold Alt with edge select on here, select this edge right here, then we're going to press E to extrude. I'm going to right click to get it to jump right back, then I'm going to press S to scale. And now you can see it looks like there's no space. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, now there's no space. So we'll click here and change this from the individual origins back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. We'll click here and go back to object mode and take a look. Okay, I'm going to select back on the hair. This right here. Oh, this is kind of sticking out. I'm just going to grab this edge right here. Pull that back some. You want to be aware of, intersections, things like this. You can always go to a vertice select and literally manipulate this hair vertice by vertice. You're giving up time, and I gotta tell myself I'm doing a tutorial, but it is neat that you have such control. And obviously, the more time you spend, the better the results. At least most of the time, the better results you're going to get. Sometimes you can get so caught up you can actually make things look worse. Come back here. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to object mode. We're going to select the face, turn to the side. We're going to click here to go to edit mode. We're going to select right here, zoom in, hold shift and middle mouse button to pan in here. We're going to press O to turn on the proportional edit, G, and Y just to adjust this cheekbone somewhat. Let's go back to object mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan a little bit more. We're going to hover our mouse over this triangular looking shape. We're going to click here, select UV editor, select the hair strand, click here, go to edit mode, and then press A to select this. So here is our hair strand, unwrapped. So what we're going to do now is go to UV. We're going to go to export UV layout. And wait a second. There we go. So I'm going to put a hair strand UV layout, and then just save that there. Now what this is because I have this UV layout, now I can export this out to other image manipulation programs like GIMP, Krita, or Photoshop. And we can do, work on our image outside with that UV layout. So that's what we're about to do now. Okay, here we are in GIMP. GIMP is a free open source image manipulation program that you can download for the PC, for Mac, or for Linux. Okay, the reason why we're in GIMP is we're going to be making our own hair strand texture to put on our model. Okay, so what we have here is a 1600 by 1200 image. I'm going to click here, which allows me to make a new layer. I'm going to select transparency, hit OK. Then I'm going to press the D key on my keyboard to change our colors back to black and white. I'm then going to press and hold Control and then press comma, which is a shortcut for filling the layer with your foreground color. Okay, now what we're going to do is make a new transparent layer. You're going to select the color that you want the hair to be. And in GIMP, you can use the bracket keys to make your cursor smaller or bigger. And you just take your primary color and you're just going to be drawing straight lines across. Like so. You want to have, a little bit of black coming through. And then you'll go to your secondary color you want, and you'll do the same thing. Drawing lines across. And I'm currently just using a regular mouse to do this. Put one line up here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Layer, select New from Visible, and then we have a combined layer of all of the different layers here. I'll just turn these off here, and then what you're going to do now is go to Filters, Noise, and then Spread, and then what you want is you want a square. So this is 1600 by 1200, so I have 1600 by 1600, whatever. If you're using the same thing or something like this, you just want it to be a square, so we'll press OK. And then I'll take a little bit of time to apply that filter. You can see the bar, progress bar going there. Okay, so now that you have your filter, noise, spread applied right here, now what you want to do is go to Filters, Blur, and then Motion Blur. And then you want to have your length set for 100 and your angle set for 90. You can see a preview of how it's going to look there. So just select OK, and you can see it, working right there. Okay, and this gives us a pretty decent, it kind of looks like hair. It looks like hair already to me. So anyway, what we're going to do is add some shine to this hair. So we're going to make a new layer. And then we're going to take the color white, and we're going to draw 3 groups of lines like so. Okay, and now remember, this is a separate layer that we're on here. You can see that's all we have right there for this layer. This layer is just showing through it. It's underneath it. Anyway, what you want to do is go to Filters, Noise, and then Spread, and you can set the horizontal for 500 and the vertical for 500. Then press OK. Well, it's progressing here, as you can see. It's coming along. There we go. Okay, now we're going to go on that same layer to Filters, Blur, Motion Blur, like we did before. Your length can be 100, your angle 90. You're going to select OK. See the progress going there. Okay, now you can see we have what looks like hair strands also with shine on them. So what we're going to do is select here, go to Layer, select New from Visible, and then we'll hide off this right here. I'm going to save this. I'll make a new folder called hair textures. Or hair texture. Okay, with that work done, now what I'm going to do is go to File, Open. You want to look for your hair strand UV layout, which is here. Just double click. So here it is. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and roll the mouse wheel just to zoom back. And what I'm going to do now is go to the hair strands that we made here, and with this top layer selected, I'm going to select Edit, Copy. Then I'm going to select here where our hair UV layout is, and then I'm going to select Edit, Paste Into. That pops up here as a floating selection. I'm going to go right here to where it says Create New Layer, and now we have that hair strand right there, actually in with our UV texture, our UV texture layout. Okay, so a lot of times what you want to do is have your UV above your texture so you can see where it's going to go, like how this is now. But you want to, when you export it, you don't want to have this UV layout showing. So I'm going to select this eye to hide that. Now I'm going to go to File, Export. And this menu pops up. And I want to export this out as a PNG, which is already set up as a PNG. If by some chance it wasn't, I would just click here and select PNG right here. And I want it to go, it's going to go to a folder I made up called Hair Texture for Anime Female Head Tutorial. I was working on this earlier, so it's there. I'll just export it and replace it with the image that you guys see. These are the settings that I have set up, so I'm going to go ahead and tell it to export. There it goes, exporting away. Okay, now with all that done, we can go back to Blender. Okay, here we are back in Blender. And what we're going to do is hover our mouse here over this triangular area, pull, and make this one window again. We're going to click here, which is when you come into Blender, by default you use the Blender renderer. We're going to go to the Cycles renderer. Because we went to the Cycles renderer, I'm going to click here. And if you have a NVIDIA 630 card or above, I believe. Actually, now I think you can actually have... I'm trying to think of the other... Oh, AMD also. And select GPU compute, and this just tends to make Cycles run a lot faster. So I'm going to scroll down here. Okay. So what we're going to do now is click here, go to object mode. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to right click right here to put our 3D cursor there. We're going to press Shift A. We're going to go to that, which brings up our add to menu. We're going to choose mesh, then plane. We're going to press S to scale. I want this to be fairly big. Now what you're going to do is click right here to go to your materials tab. You're going to select new. You're going to go to where you see it says diffuse BSDF. You're going to select here. You're going to change this to emission. You're then going to press Shift A again, select another plane. The reason why we are bringing in these planes is that top plane is going to put light here, and this bottom plane is going to reflect the light that is coming from the top plane back up. Okay, and the reason why we came into Cycles is Cycles tends to have very realistic lighting, or does have very realistic lighting, and it tends to make things look beautiful. It's also very easy in my opinion to set up a lighting setup for it. So what we can do is if we press Shift Z, we can actually see a rendered view here in Cycles. See this right here, this 10/10. The higher this number is, the more detailed or the more clear this image will be. So I'm going to click here, go to sampling, and you can see where here it says render 10 and preview 10. This render 10 means when you actually go to render an image out, it'll go up to 10 samples, which you can see the level of clarity. The preview is set for the same. I'm going to click here now and change this 10 to 100. And now you can see this number racing up towards 100, and as it races up, you can see this image getting clearer and clearer. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to hover our mouse right here, split the screen. We're going to press Shift Z here. Now, when I'm pressing Shift Z, that's the shortcut, but you can also select here and just choose rendered. And we just put this up here so that we can see as we apply colors and things in here, we'll be able to see the colors change, very quickly through this, rendered window here. Okay, and I think I'm actually going to add more light to here. I just rolled the mouse wheel back. I'm holding the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to select here. I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to right click to get that to pop right back. Because I am duplicating the light, I can it basically has the light still with it. You can see what's going on here. And I'm just pushing this back so it's we'll put it here. See how like right here you can see like this light is in our way of seeing the rendered view, right? What we can do is click here, scroll down, go to ray visibility. I'm going to slide down a little bit more, and with this selected, what I can do is select camera. So now that light is giving off light, but at the same time, even though it's technically in front of our view here, it's not showing, which is pretty cool. We actually can pull it in and adjust it now that it's out of it to give us a little bit more light right there. So I'm going to zoom in. Hold the middle mouse, but let me select the head itself. And now what we're going to do is with this part of the head selected, we're going to go to our materials button right here. And we're going to select use nodes, and then with this diffuse color, we're going to click here. We're going to make sure we're selected on hex. I'm going to click here and I'm going to press Control V and put in this one type of flesh color, which is FAE7D0. And then here you can see that color applied right here. Okay, what we're going to do now is select this eye right here. We're going to select New, and then we're going to select this plus to the right here. We're then going to click Edit to go into Edit mode, and we're going to select New here. Now what we're going to do is hover here, press L, hover here, press L, then go to this color below diffuse, and I have the color that I want already copied into the Blender's clipboard, which is a fancy way of saying I copied it so I could paste it in. So here's Control V. And if you look here, you can see the color is not applied yet. That's because I have to select Assign. Okay, now what we're going to do is select right here. We're going to go to Face Select. Select here. Hold Shift. Select here. Let me zoom in. I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button. I'll zoom in more so you can see what's going on. And oops. With this selected, all this selected, what we're going to do now is select this plus that's to the right, select new, go to color, and we're just going to take this down. You can see the color here changing there. We'll make it a little bit darker. Then I'm going to select assign, and you can see that coming in there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold L right here. I'm going to select this plus to the right, select new, and you can do this. I actually prefer to do this color setup in the node editor. However, because you can do it here, and I think that this is actually easier for people who are absolutely brand new to Blender, that's why I'm staying here instead of going into the node editor. Anyway, you can click here and or click there and select mix shader. You're going to click here for shader 1. You're going to go to glossy BSDF. I'm going to click here and select sharp. Okay, now we're just going to go to shader here, and we're going to choose diffuse, and it's a white diffuse, and we're just going to click assign. Okay, and between these two shaders here, this factor controls how much of this diffuse white color comes in. So we're at 0.5. We're going to take this up to about 0.7, a little bit more than 0.7. And then now with that done, what we're going to do is press A to deselect. We're going to scroll up here, select this plus, select new just like we did before. We're going to select diffuse, mix shader, go to glossy just like we did before, select sharp, and then we're going to go to oops, wait a second, sorry, the second shader, and we're going to choose diffuse. I think we'll pick a greenish color, maybe a darker green. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so with that, now what we're going to do is we're going to go with face select on. We're going to hold Alt. We're going to select here. I'm going to hold Shift and Alt. Trying to get this loop right there. There we go. Now hold Shift and get these again. Select right there. So now what I'm going to do is select here. This because when I didn't have this selected at first, so it went back to another diffuse, the one we just set up. So what I had to do was go up here, and it was still there, but I had to re-click this just so you're aware of that. So now with that done, I'm going to select assign, and now what I'm going to do is press A, hold Alt with face select on, select here, hold Shift, select here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. Nope. I'm going to hold Alt and Shift. That's our light that was coming into play there. Let me Control Z. I'll just manually select these. And if the light is doing like my light is doing there, what you can do is click here, go back to object mode, select the light, press M. This brings up our layers panel. Select I'll select here and move the light out of the way, and then we'll just click back here, go back into edit mode, and now we can, the light is still there, it's just on a different layer, but now I can, you know, deal with this without having the light getting away. So I press C select, and I selected all of those faces right there. Okay, so with that done, I'm gonna scroll up here. I'm gonna select the plus here, select new, go to diffuse, select mix shader, go to the first shader, select glossy, let's see, I'm going to leave this on GGX for this one. We're going to go to our second shader, and we're going to select diffuse, click here, take this down so it's almost black but not totally black, and select assign. Okay, what we're actually going to do now is zoom back. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold my mouse here. I'm going to roll my mouse so I can see that this proportional editing tool is turned on. I'm going to press O to turn that off. I'm going to press A to select everything. Because everything is selected, I know when I press A again that nothing is selected. So now I'm going to select L here. I'm going to press X. And I am going to delete this lower eyelid just because it's, I think it looks better without it. So I'm going to choose faces and delete that eye. So now what we're going to do is zoom back, hold shift and the mouse button to pan, zoom back a little bit more. I'm going to click here to go into object mode. Okay, and what we're going to do is select this eye, press X, delete that eye. We're going to select this eye right here. We're going to go to our navigation tab, choose front view. We're going to press Shift C to put the 3D cursor directly in the center. Roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to click here, select for the pivot point to be the 3D cursor. I'm going to press Shift D, which duplicates this eye. I've moved it to the side just to know it's duplicated. I'm going to right click to get it to jump back. And now with the cursor being centered and the pivot point being the 3D cursor, I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis, -1, then left click to lock in. Now with that done, what we're going to do is select this hair right here. We're going to scroll up. We're going to select new. We're going to go to where you see it says color. You're going to click this dot right here. So you're not clicking this right here, you're clicking this dot right here. You're then going to go up to image texture, and you're going to select open, and you are going to search for your hair texture, which is right here. So I'm going to click here, select the texture. I can click this button right here so I can see, and sure enough, there it is there. Then I'm going to select open, and you can see the hair texture there. Okay, so we're going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to select M, move this to a different layer. That was the original hair strand. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click to change this pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. We're going to select onto our head mesh. We're going to click here, go to edit mode, zoom in. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hover my mouse here, right over the eyebrow. I'm going to select L to select the whole eyebrow. Okay, with the eyebrow selected, I'm going to go to the plus to the right of your materials. I'm going to select new, then I'm going to click here. I'm going to click a light brown color. Move this down a little bit. Then I'm going to select assign. Okay, now I'm just going to hover my mouse here, click here, and pull this to the right so we can take a look. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. I am also going to click back to object mode, and then I'm going to hold shift. We're on this current layer right here. We have another light right here, so I'm going to while holding shift select that layer, and you can see now we have more light here. You can see the hair strands coming in the more the higher samples. So I'm going to take this actually up to 500. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe. Also, on my homepage, I have a support button, and if you click on that support button, a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. And to those of you who have donated already, thank you very much for those donations. Your donations just give me more time to make more videos. And as always, guys, thanks for viewing.